Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Ty and this is Reality Table Talk. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the latest episodes of the reality shows we all love to watch. Now, my thoughts are my thoughts and the reviews I share are from my perspective. But I can guarantee that at least a few of us are thinking the same things while we're watching these shows. If you're here for the first time, welcome to my channel. And if you're a return viewer, thank you so much for joining me again. I just want to remind you all to please like, share, and subscribe. If you dig this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to support this channel and its growth. And y'all, I am back with a whole new review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 9. But before I jump into this review, I just want to say that over the last week or so, I have received some comments accusing me of being a Porsha fan page or accusing me of working for Bravo. And I can assure you, I am not a fan page. This is not a fan channel, okay? I am not a Porsha fan page, Cynthia fan page, a Brit fan page. Y'all know I love me some Shamia. This is not a Shamia fan page or any of the other ladies on the cast. I'm not a fan page of anybody. I am team me. I always have been, I always will be. And I am not receiving a check from Bravo. I welcome a check from Bravo if they would love to send me one, but I'm not getting a check from Bravo, from any other network, or from anywhere else for that matter, other than my regular 9 to 5. Okay? So if y'all disagree with anything that I have to say, I welcome you to put it down in the comments, but keep it cute. Okay? We will not do disrespect on this channel. Not any disrespect towards me or any of my other subscribers. There's no going back and forth with anybody in the comments. I'm not going back and forth with anybody. Okay? You all can comment all you want, but keep it cute and be respectful. I've deleted some comments off of this channel that were very disrespectful over the weekend. And if I see any more, I will not hesitate to delete them again. And it'll be as if you never existed, at least not on this channel. If you disagree with me that strongly, hey, YouTube is for everybody. Anybody can start a YouTube review channel and you can post your own reviews. So now with that said, y'all, pull up a seat, join me at the table, and let's get into this review. The ladies are back from the birthday trip in Nashville for Porsha. And Cynthia Bailey, Miss P.I. Bailey, is on the case trying to piece together what happened down at this pool, honey. She went to sleep when all the other ladies were down there drinking, partying it up, and apparently talking a lot of stuff about Angela, which she overheard at 3 a.m. in the morning. She decided to come down and confront the other ladies over what was said. And as we saw from the past footage from the last episode, we see that she tried to confront the ladies. She tried to confront Porsha over things that she heard that was said about herself and Charles. And we see Porsha leaving the scene, flying up them stairs, saying she was not going to do it on camera. Miss Bailey decided to go to sleep and get her beauty rest when all this was taking place. So now she's trying to catch up with all the ladies to find out what happened. So she meets up separately with Porsha. She meets up separately with Angela. And then she meets up separately with Shamia and Kelly. So Kelly and Shamia tell Cynthia that they were up partying it up at the pool until 5 a.m., drinking, having a good old time. So Cynthia says, so all you ladies were drunk? And Shamia says, yes. Angela tells Cynthia that she heard all the ladies outside of her window and she heard somebody call her Big Bird. Shamia tells Cynthia that Brit told everybody that there were some rumors going around town about Charles stepping out on Angela and having an outside baby. Angela tells Cynthia that she overheard Porsha saying, I should just F Charles. Cynthia is asking Porsha about it, and Porsha says, I don't remember saying that. Of course you don't, child. You said you don't remember anything. You don't remember anything, huh, Portia? Now, Portia does say that Hennessy saved the night because after she found out about Drew and Dennis filming together, she was ready to set that whole place on fire. But no, she did not. And she says that she would not ever sleep with anybody else's husband. Now, Shamea says when she got back in town, she gave Angela a little bit of a minute to cool off, and then she reached out to her. And Angela replied with a text basically saying, after witnessing the disrespect towards myself and my husband, there is nothing more to be said. But child, she had a whole lot more to say, apparently, because she goes on and on and on in this text. She said that there was a fake ass sisterhood, and it's clear that their morals and values do not align with hers. And then she ended it by saying, it's all good though, be blessed. Child, obviously it ain't all good if you are sending paragraphs in the text explaining how you're done with these ladies. It's not all good. Cynthia says in her confessional that the only thing open after midnight are legs, jails, and the emergency room. And that's why you need to go ahead and take your ass to bed. And girl, I know that's right. Me, myself, I cannot hang till 5 a.m. with anybody anymore. 9:30, I'm in the bed, if not sleep. And if I'm not asleep by 9:30, I can guarantee you I'm knocked out by 10. I ain't out here in these streets. So I feel you, Cynthia, on this wholeheartedly. So Cynthia then tells Kelly and Shamea that she's going to have her annual Bailey Q. And this year it's going to be in honor of Juneteenth. But she's almost afraid to have it because she doesn't want to stir any more drama up amongst these ladies. And she's going to have a prophet there. So we'll see what comes out when this prophet gets with these ladies, honey. In the next scene, Kelly is throwing a birthday party for her fur baby, Cha-Cha. And y'all, she's got it all decked out. There's a dog bar. There's a VIP section. There's a man there doing tricks with another dog with frisbees. And she's invited all these people and all their fur babies. And y'all, it is so cute. Now, Kelly spoils the hell out of Cha-Cha. Okay, Cha-Cha had full glam. Cha-Cha got her nails done. She went to the doggy spa. She gets lashes. And then of course, we see that Cha-Cha is got all kinds of different prints and colors on her. And so the producers asked Kelly how much all of this cost. And she says a good $1,000. I wish I had $1,000 just to blow like that. Okay, I need every nickel and dime and penny I can get and keep my hands on at this point. And I have a fur baby. I have a little 4-year-old little Shih Tzu Maltese mix named Tank. And people say that I spoil him. Now, I don't do all what Kelly does. He gets his little day at the groomers. He gets his bath, his haircut. Okay, he has his little doggy treats. He has his preferred meal every night. Okay, we go walking. He gets his little pup cup. And he's a little pamper baby. He's a lap baby. But I'm not spending $1,000 on glam for my little fur baby. But hey, if you got it, spend it. And if you like it, I love it. So go ahead, Cha-Cha, and happy birthday, little baby. So Brit arrives with mimosa in tow to enjoy the festivities. And Brit and Kelly talk, and Brit tells Kelly that her mother is moving in with her and Mike within the next 4 to 6 weeks, and she is super excited about it. Now, Brit says that after she sold her company, after she and Mike got engaged and married, she dissolved the company and the relationship with she and her sisters went awry. And we heard about this in previous episodes. But she says that her older sister, Cher, is coming to help with the move, and that her older sister, Tiara, has also reached out after the whole Kenya Moore hair spa opening incident. So that incident has actually helped to bring all the ladies, all of the sisters closer together. Kelly tells Brit that they caught up with Cynthia when everybody got back, and that Cynthia's having her Bailey Q and that a prophet is going to be there. So Brit says, ooh, child, we need it. And Kelly is like, I hope we don't end up in the lake after this prophet says what she's got to say to all of us. And I know that's right, because some things may be revealed that everybody doesn't want shared. So we shall see. Back over on the other side of town, Portia arrives at her mother's house. Now, y'all, we know that Portia is not allowed to film in the shared marital home that she shares with Simon. So she's filming wherever she can. And today she's filming at her mother's house. And PJ is there, and her sister Lauren is also there. And Portia walks in with a gift for PJ. She walks in with a little fur baby, and PJ is speechless. She doesn't know what to do with this baby, but she's very, very sweet with the baby. And she says, I want to name him Peanut Butter. It's so cute. So super freaking cute. Now, Portia says she got peanut butter for PJ because she can sense that PJ is picking up on her energy. Her energy is low. Her vibration's been low since all of this divorce drama has been going on with Simon. So she wanted to uplift PJ's spirits. On top of that, PJ has been asking for a sibling. And there's nobody up for the running to bless Portia with the baby at this point. So Portia's like, I don't know where I would go buy a sibling. I don't know where I would go buy a baby from. So here's your fur baby. Take it and be blessed. Lauren asked Portia what's going on with the divorce. And Portia says that she got a court date for a hearing. After the prenup situation, then the divorce proceedings can begin, and then they can get all that wrapped up. And it's been taking a toll on Portia, so she's really looking forward to getting this over with. So now Portia's also telling Lauren and her mother that the Nashville trip, the birthday trip, was a lot of fun. However, that last night, she received some information from someone that Dennis and Drew had filmed. And so now she felt betrayed. And with Drew being there at the birthday celebration, she had to go down and sit with Drew and deal with all of this right then and there on her birthday trip. Now, we know from the previous episodes that Portia had a whole conversation with Dennis about not filming with Drew. So Portia's telling her mom and her sister that I'll only ask one thing of Dennis, and that is to be there for me and Pilar right here in this moment, because I'm going through so much in this divorce from Simon. She was going through it. And she felt very disappointed in the fact that Dennis just went ahead and did whatever he wanted to do anyway. So Portia's mom is like, oh, I can't defend you no more, Dennis, baby. I tried. I can't defend you no more. And Portia's pretty much saying that she and Dennis, they keep it cordial and they keep the conversation about PJ. There's no more friendly conversation happening at this particular moment. So then Portia is telling her mother and her sister that after she received that phone call and after dinner, she went on upstairs and Cynthia came in and cheered her up and talked her into getting into her bathing suit and going downstairs and joining the other ladies. So she went down, they're having a good time. And then Portia starts imitating Miss Angela. She called her Netta. So she says, I started imitating Netta in the way that she calls Charles's name, talking about Charles, Charles, Charles. Now, Portia says that she forgot that she had given Angela the room by the pool. So when they were down there talking all this mess about Angela, Angela overheard. And then so she imitates Angela coming down the stairs. She was like, Angela came stomping down the stairs talking about who called me Big Bird. And in Portia's confessional, she was like, who said that? Famous Portia line. Who said that? Portia. I wonder who said it, girl. Who said it? And then while Portia is in the kitchen at her mama's house talking to her sister, Lauren was like, who's Big Bird? And Portia says, I called her Big Bird. Really? You don't say. Now, Portia also said that some other things were said, and she didn't even go into detail about saying anything about effing Charles. She left that little tidbit out. But she says, I don't remember what else was said. Sure you don't, Portia. Sure. I'm sure you don't remember anything else that may have been said down there at that pool. In this next scene, my favorite, Shamia appears, and she arrives at Surrogacy Miracles to visit Shadina, or I think it's Shadina or Shadina. Excuse me if I'm saying this name wrong, but I remember her from a previous episode, and she was Candy's surrogate for Blaze. And then she was also Shamia's surrogate for Shiloh. And I love me some Shadina. I'm so sorry for messing up your name, girl, but I love your twist. Your twists look beautiful. So they're catching up, and Shamia's asking her how she's doing. And Shadina says, I'm doing much better. I'm in a much better place. And Shadina's asking Shamia how she's doing. And Shamia says she's doing great. And Shiloh is making milestones every day. And now she's able to put her own pacifier in her mouth. Like, go ahead, Shiloh. I love it. I love to see that Miss Shiloh is thriving. And y'all, last week I forgot to say this, but I did see some stuff come out on social media where Shamia's grandmother recently passed. So I do want to give my condolences to Shamia and her family. Shamia, I will say I did see the clip of you singing at your grandmother's service, and girl, you did a beautiful job. You did a great job honoring your grandmother. So y'all, we know that Shamia is going through another IVF journey because she wants to give Gerald another baby. She wants to bless this man with a son. So in this scene, Shamia is meeting Asha, who is going to be the new surrogate. And Shamia does have a little bit of hesitation, not about Asha, but a little hesitancy because of everything that she went through with the first IVF round and losing the baby. It was all very traumatic. But she does seem hopeful that everything is going to click well with Asha and that this next round will go great. And I pray for you, girl. I pray that this will happen for you and Gerald. I pray that you all are blessed with another beautiful, healthy baby. So y'all, Shadina brings Asha in, and she is a cute little itty bitty petite thing, okay? I thought the other ladies on the cast were small and petite, other than Angela. Angela's pretty tall, and she's got size 12 feet. So, but I thought the other ladies were pretty petite, but Asha, she is just a little itty bitty thing. So Shamia goes ahead and she calls Gerald so Asha can FaceTime with Gerald and they can kind of meet each other over the phone and get a feel for one another. So Gerald and Asha chit chat a little bit. Gerald says, "Are you ready?" And Asha says, "Yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing moving, y'all." She is ready to carry this baby for Shamia and Gerald. So Shadina says that everything looks good on paper with Asha, and medically everything is good. So once all the legal matters are handled, they can go ahead and do the transfer of the embryo, and then they can go ahead and get things rolling. So Shamia is happy to get this news. So she says on 1, 2, 3, pregnancy. And they all put their hands in and they all do it. And I'm going to do it too. 1, 2, 3, pregnancy. I'm really hoping that this all works out for Shamia and Gerald and their family. In this next scene, we're at the Oakley's house and Charles and Angela are working out. Charles is training Angela. So he's got her in the gym doing some sumo squats, doing some lunges on the row machine. And I have to say, he's doing something right because Angela's body is banging. She's got a very, very nice body here. The working out is working out. So after the workout, Angela is running down to Charles what happened in Nashville. And she tells Charles that Portia got upset because she invited Drew. So Charles says, "How you going to invite somebody to Nashville?" Thank you, Charles. Thank you so much. I received so much hate in my comments about this whole thing. And that's exactly my sentiment, Charles. You're right to check Angela. How you gonna invite somebody to Nashville? Thank you for validating what I was thinking. Now, Angela says that her intentions were good. And she tells Charles, that's something you would do. And Charles said, no, I don't do stuff like that. And bruh, I know that's right. Men are not about these little petty arguments and this little petty back and forth stuff with each other. That's one thing I will say about most relationships with guys, most brotherhoods. Like, they don't get into all that like we do. And I appreciate that. And I kind of wish we could adapt a little bit more of that. And maybe we wouldn't have so much drama. Now, in Angela's confessional, she says that Charles usually does play devil's advocate. And so she'll usually run things by him when she wants to find out what her haters are going to think, because He thinks with the hater mind, and so he's going to lay it out there. And she says, Charles, you're supposed to be on my side. But no, Angela, what you are perceiving as hate may just be some realness and some truth, and you just perceive it however you want to perceive it. Angela says that Portia had Brit speaking for her at her birthday dinner when they were trying to sort out what was going on. And that is not the case. But Angela didn't have the full backstory about this phone call that Portia had received. So she didn't know. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt here. But no, Angela, Brit was not speaking for Portia. Portia was trying to be quiet so that nothing jumped off. And you just kept poking. So there you go. So then Angela tells Charles that she questioned Portia about her relationship with Simon and said, why did you take that lady's husband? And Charles said, well, why did you ask her that? So then Angela says, oh, well, Portia told me to kiss her ass. And I don't know if she was thinking that Charles is going to jump up to her defense right then. But Charles is like, well, maybe you shouldn't have been asking her that. Y'all, Charles, he's a curmudgeon, okay? He can come off as being a little bit grumpy, but I love what he's giving Angela right here. I love that he's kind of running some truth down to Angela, okay? Somebody needs to. Then Angela tells Charles that she overheard Brit, Kelly, and Portia talking about how there's rumors about Charles sleeping with some girl in New York. And Charles is like, Ann, like he's very indifferent to all of this. So Angela's like, okay, go ahead and stay on the Portia train. You buckled up? And Charles says, I don't need a belt. So Angela says, well, okay, well, Portia just thinks you're so easy to sleep with. And Portia says that she might as well go ahead and sleep with you, that she can sleep with you. And Charles is like, well, no, she can't. Nah, that can't happen. Charles tells Angela, well, people will tell you anything. Do you believe it? And Angela says, no, I don't believe it. So she tells Charles that she confronted Portia about this, and Portia took off running at that pool when she didn't want none. And so Charles is like, hey, go ahead and give him West Side Chicago. And then Angela starts laughing. I would love to see Angela give Portia West Side Chicago. Hey, you know what? I'm with it. I don't think that it was right for Portia to say what she said about effing somebody else's man down there at that pool. Hennessy or not, alcohol or not, that was not right. Now, the other little petty stuff about how Angela dresses and calling her Big Bird, you know, that's one thing you can kind of let roll off your sleeve, you know, roll off your back. But the part about playing with people's husbands, I'm not with that. You don't play with people's kids. You don't play with their husbands. Now, I do feel that Angela was very messy in inviting Drew to this birthday dinner. So, like I said, the little shade that she received about her dressing and about being called Big Bird and her big feet and all that kind of stuff, that's one thing. Don't talk about somebody's husband or doing something with somebody's husband. And this is where communication really comes into play here, effective communication. If you have an issue with someone, address the issue with them. And if you can't do it in that moment because emotions are running high and you don't want anything to jump off, you know, you don't want things to go too left, then leave it. But don't go, you know, chit-chatting or gossiping with other people. Like if you have an issue with somebody, address it with them directly when you're able to. The other stuff is petty and it is childish and very immature. In this next scene, we are back over at Portia's mother's house. And Portia is waiting there with PJ and her mother, and she has an au pair coming. Now, an au pair is basically a live-in nanny. So this person is going to be responsible for the day-to-day duties having to pertain to PJ. She may help out a little bit around the house, but her main job is, and her main focus is going to be on PJ. So now Dennis pops up, and apparently Dennis and Portia are cordial enough in this moment to have him come over and meet the au pair because he's going to be involved in this whole situation as well. The au pair will be going back and forth between Portia's house and Dennis's house with PJ. So now in Portia's confessional, she says that the goal is to make sure that she and Dennis maintain a functional, positive, co-parenting relationship for PJ. That's the goal. And then we see Dennis pull up in the confessional. He pulls a chair in and slides right in. And Portia's laughing and she's like, what are you doing here? And I'm saying the same thing. What's going on? But I'm glad to see it. I'm glad that this whole Drew situation didn't completely destroy or ruin the positive relationship that she's got going on with Dennis and their co-parenting relationship. So the au pair Phoebe arrives, luggage in tow, and Portia brings her into the house and is showing her around and introduces her to Dennis. And Portia has done a great job welcoming Phoebe in. She's got flowers, a little gift basket, a cake, some balloons there for her. Like I said, to welcome her in and to make her feel special. Dennis asked Phoebe a few questions. What do you like to do when you're not working? Phoebe says she likes to read and she's got some au pair friends there in Atlanta. So Portia's like, okay, you got some friends here. That's cool. Cool. So now her assistant Lauren is going to take Phoebe over to Portia's house and get her all settled. And she and Dennis go and chit chat. In Portia's confessional, she says that she's pretty much just decided to let the whole thing with the Drew and Dennis go because the goal is just for them to maintain a healthy relationship for PJ. Dennis is looking for some alcohol, y'all, before this little chit chat because he already knows what's coming. So when they sit down and get to talking, Portia says, you know, you and I, we haven't really talked much about our friendship. And Dennis says, so what are you referring to this thing with Drew? Portia tells Dennis that she heard about he and Drew filming. So in the confessional, the producers are asking Dennis, why did Portia have to hear from someone else that you and Drew filmed? Like, why did she have to hear that this happened behind her back from someone else? And Dennis says, who, me? Nah, Dennis, boo-boo the fool. Who else do you think they're talking to? Yes, Dennis, you. You're the one who filmed with Drew behind Portia's back. Hello? So then Dennis says he didn't know anything about any cameras or that anything was going to be filmed. He said he just showed up at the studio and boom, there were cameras there. If y'all believe that, listen, I have some snake oil I would love to sell you. Portia is looking at her phone and she says, well, you need to take some accountability for where y'all's relationship is at now because apparently she tried to sleep with you. So Dennis is like, me? No, she didn't try to sleep with me. And Portia's like, I got it right here on this phone. So I don't know where this text came from that Portia has, but she tells Dennis, yeah, let me go ahead and show you. And Dennis says, I ain't said nothing about sleeping with this lady. I ain't say that. And so then Portia starts to read this text and she takes Dennis's glasses. She's like, here, let me use your glasses so we can read this together. And so she points out to Dennis and she said, here you said all she had to do was say yes. And then Dennis cuts her off and keeps her from reading the rest of this text. And he says, you're interpreting that wrong. She ain't trying to sleep with me. And Portia's like, well, who? And he was like, well, it ain't me. So then Portia starts doing what she does best, eating. And again, I love it. And she tells Dennis, well, now you can go write a breakup song about you and Drew's relationship. So then she says, look, I'm over it all. We can move forward, bruh. We can move forward, bro. And then she goes to give him dap. And he's like, bro? He says, ain't nobody giving you no dap on that. And so now in the confessional, she's trying to give him dap again. She's like, come on, bro. And Dennis leans in like he's going to try to kiss her. Y'all, I'm going to tell you what. If it were up to Dennis, he and Portia would still be together. Like, it seems like there's a little bit of a flirty type of relationship or thing happening between these two. And all Portia has to do is say the word. Just like that text that she was reading, all she has to do is say the word and it would be a wrap. Dennis would be off the market to the naked eye. In the next scene, we're with Brit and Cher, and they are at their mother's house helping her pack it up because Brit's mother is coming to live with Brit for a little while. So we see them kind of going through some old family photos, and in Brit's confessional, she says that her father was the person who was the glue for their family. He held everybody together. So since his passing, it's kind of fallen apart. Brit's mother comes in the room. She's like, I just need y'all to pack these photos up, and then I need y'all to go in the kitchen and we can start packing up the dishes. And then Brit's grandmother comes out from the back, and she just looks like a sweet, sweet woman. She's, taking her time coming out to the front. Brit asked her mom, when did daddy have this house built? And her mom says it was in 2014, but that he didn't make it a year in the house. So I guess he passed away not too long after it was built and they moved in. Now, this house has been a safe haven for Brit's family. So the sisters and the nephews, whenever they need somewhere to stay, they all come over. And Brit's mom is ready to kind of move forward. So she's selling the house because she's tired of everybody coming to live with her. Like, she wants to go do her own thing now. And I know that's right. Mama got to have a life too. So they're done packing up in the living room. They move to the kitchen. And Cher immediately goes to where the liquor is usually at, underneath the cabinet. And she's like, where's all the liquor? And her mom's like, well, I gave it all away. And Cher is like, how dare you give all my dad's stuff away? And Brit's mom is like, how dare he leave me? Y'all, there's so much trauma happening within the family. And I really feel for them because, as I've mentioned before in my previous reviews, I lost my dad 3 years ago. And I saw the distinction that happened within my family. Personalities came out. People felt entitled to certain things of his. And it's just been a whole hot mess. But at the end of the day, you have to keep in mind what your loved ones would have wanted, how they would have wanted you to move forward, and how they would have wanted your family dynamic to be moving forward. And that's something that my family has had to kind of reconcile and come to terms with, and keep that in our minds so that we can move forward and be healthy, be strong. But this right here that's going on in Brit's family, this ain't it. And I really hope some healing takes place for all of these ladies so that they can move forward in a healthy manner and come back together and be as they were before Brit's dad passed, because I'm sure this is not what he wanted for them. And this is very, very disheartening to me. Now, Brit says that Cher and her mother have always been at each other's throats, but their dad usually stepped in and played the peacemaker between the two. And he usually took Cher's side. But Brit's mom is like, I'm not going to have nobody come in here and tell me what I'm doing with my stuff. And I know that's right. Cher, you may feel entitled in some kind of way because that's your dad, but this is your mother and this was his wife and this is their home. So how dare you come in and try to tell your mother what to do with your father's belongings? Like, it's up to her ultimately to decide what to do. And whatever she decides to do with your dad's belongings, you have to respect that. That was this lady's husband. They were together before you got here. They knew each other better than anybody else. So whatever your mother decides to do, let that lady do what she needs to do and respect it. So now grandmama steps in and she says, listen, I'm the grandmother and y'all don't need to be going all this back and forth and doing all this that you're doing. Granny, I know that's right. And if anybody can get these ladies together, it's got to be you. They've got to respect you. You're the matriarch. So they all seem to listen to what she says. And Brit says, you know what, let me go ahead and call Tiara. Now, Cher and Tiara, their relationship still needs some working on. It still needs some repair. But Brit and Tiara have gotten a little bit further along in mending their relationship at this point. So Brit gets Tiara on FaceTime and she's like, we love you, we miss you, and we wish that you were here. And Tiara says, I miss y'all too. And just because I'm not there doesn't mean that I'm not with y'all, doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about y'all. So then Cher says, well, Tiara, do you miss me too? Do you love me? And Tiara says, of course I love you, Cher. And so then Cher gets very emotional. She starts crying and she's like, well, answer my call. And Tiara's like, I've been grieving. And Cher is like, it's not fair for you to shut me out. I've been grieving too, and it's just not fair. So she's very emotional here, and she's hurt. There's a lot of hurt feelings between all of these women in the family, but right here in this moment, Cher is really tore up. And, y'all, we all deal with grief in our own ways. Some people become more distant, like Brit says Tiara has. They distance themselves away. Some people just kind of go into themselves. Some people need the support of others. They need to have people around them for moral support, just for emotional support, for all of that. Y'all, my mother and I, we came together after my dad passed, and it's just been us two. Now, I have other siblings, but my mom and I are the closest. So no matter what, I'm always be here for my mom. I moved in with her. We've been living together all this time now, and it's been good for the both of us. But I'm going to tell you what. One thing my dad always said before he left this earth was, we never know when our time is up, but one thing that's guaranteed in this life is death. So I know the day is going to come. If I don't go first, and if everything goes in succession, I know my mom will leave before I do. And just like Tiara here, I'm going to be just like her. Y'all ain't going to be able to find me. I'm going to be out. Y'all ain't going to be able to reach me by phone. Y'all ain't going to be able to reach me by letter, by text, by nothing. I'm going to be out, and I'm going to be distancing myself away from everybody because I'm going to need some time. After what I went through with my dad not being here, with my dad's transition and how bad that hurt me, I knew I needed to be here and be present because there was a lot of loose ends that needed to be tied up. But y'all, when that day comes, when my mom transitions and she joins my father, I'm going to be just like Tiara. And hopefully my family will understand, but if they don't, they don't. So Brit gets ready to hang up with Tiara on FaceTime, and Tiara says, I love you all. I love you all so much. I'm here for you all, and I just really wish you all the best. But Tiara is doing what she's got to do for herself. And you know what, sis? Do what you've got to do. Nobody should blame you for taking the time, however long it is, for taking the time that you need to heal. Now, Granny ends this scene with some wisdom. She says, y'all got a good God upstairs. So that's why y'all need to stop fussing and fighting and doing all this that you're doing all the time. And I know that's right, Granny. Truer words have never been spoken. So y'all, in this last scene, it's the day of Cynthia's Bailey cue. And she says that she normally does this for the 4th of July, but now that Juneteenth has been made a national holiday, thanks to President Joe Biden, she decided to go ahead and move it over to celebrate Juneteenth. Atlanta is the hub for the civil rights movement. So, hey, what a better way to celebrate. And she wants everybody to come in wearing Juneteenth colors, y'all, green, yellow, and red. But Cynthia's like, who am I fooling? These ladies ain't coming dressed in Juneteenth colors. I know they're going to come in wearing whatever they want to wear. And did. So the first lady to arrive is Brit. And Cynthia's telling Brit that there's a prophet that's going to come. Well, not too long after Brit gets there, the prophet arrives. So she comes in, she sits down, and she immediately picks up some energy off of Brit. The prophet tells Brit that you have been focusing on others for so long. Now it's time for you to focus on yourself, and especially when it comes to your business. We know that Brit sold her insurance agency, but Brit says that she does have another business that she's working on. Her new business is focusing on shapewear and loungewear. So y'all, the prophet, she kind of hit the nail on the head with that one as far as Brit's business is concerned. The next lady to arrive is Kelly. She comes in with a bottle of wine and her loud, boisterous voice, y'all. And she introduces herself to the prophet. And she's like, oh, can you feel my energy? And so she puts her palms out so the prophet can feel her energy. And the prophet is like, look, you don't have to put your palms out. I can pick up on the energy. Kelly is like, oh. So then the next lady to arrive is Angela. Angela comes in, and y'all know there's some tension between Angela and Brit and Kelly. But they all come in and they sit in the same area next to this prophet. And so the prophet goes over to hug Angela and knocks something over on the table. So the ladies are like, oh. And so then Brit kind of leans over and to Kelly, and they get to talking like, did the prophet pick up on Angela's energy? And then we see Angela with like this scowl on her face. The prophet starts reading Kelly, and she tells Kelly, you know, you went through a lot with this marriage, and what happened with the car? What was up with the car? He did that with the car to be petty. And Kelly's looking like, wow, like what? The prophet says, yeah, he sold that car to be petty. Now, Kelly is like, whoa, because nobody else knew about this situation with the car other than Brit. Brit is the only person that she told. So, y'all, that's 2 for 2. The prophet is getting things right now. She seems pretty legit. The next lady to arrive is my favorite, Shamia. And she understood the assignment, y'all. She came in with her Juneteenth colors on. And in her confessional, she says, you're not going to invite me to a Juneteenth celebration and expect me not to wear my African clothes. I know that's right, honey. You nailed it, chick. You got the assignment and you nailed it. So then the prophet starts reading Angela. And she tells Angela, like, there's something going on with you surrounding an individual. It could be a spouse. Y'all need a vacation because something is not gelling in that relationship. Y'all need to get away. So then the prophet says, you know, TMI, sometimes we as women, we get caught up with our careers and other things going on in our lives. And sometimes we lose the sexy for our husbands. So Angela says, where's my phone? Let me go ahead and pull up Vicky's secret, y'all. Angela said, Charles ain't going nowhere. Netta said, Charles is staying right here. In Angela's confessional, she says that Charles's love language is making sure that house is clean and straight. I know that's right, Charles. She says that after 10 years, you know, it's her and Charles against the world. She and Charles are good. The prophet says, who has a Porsche? And then she looks at Angela and she was like, oh, he's got his eye on something, doesn't he? And Angela was like, yes, he does. So then Shamia, she was going to be a little messy here. She says, you said Porsche, right? Not Porsche. And all the girls start cracking up except for Angela. And Cynthia's like, stop it. Just stop it. But Shamia, you know Shamia, y'all. Shamia's funny. She was just being funny. That was a little fun shade. That was fun shade. The prophet starts reading Shamia, and she tells Shamia, 2025 is your money-making year. And y'all, Shamia started doing the holy dance, okay? She started holy stepping up in that piece. And while the prophet is telling Shamia that sometimes it's good to lay low, Kelly, Cynthia, and Brit are over there taking handless shots, okay? Just like they were at Coyote Ugly, taking them shots off the bar like they did last episode. I love seeing Cynthia in this light. I love seeing her just let her hair down and let loose and just have a good old time. And Shamia's like, how are y'all just taking handless shots while I'm having my prophecy read? And Kelly is like, girl, we giving you good energy. So while that's going down, Miss Lauren and Miss Portia Williams, Miss P. Willie pop up. Cynthia and Portia hug, and then Cynthia tells Portia, go ahead and sit down next to Angela. Now, I was uncomfortable here, and I wasn't even in the room, but she does. She tells Angela, she's like, hello. And in Angela's confessional, she says, Portia gets nothing from me. And she gave nothing to Portia here, not even a hello. She says that Portia gets nothing until they sort out this mess from Nashville and what happened there. So now the prophet tells Portia, you come over here and sit next to me. Like she was pulling the energy from Portia. So Portia gets up and she goes to sit next to the prophet. And she's like, hold on, y'all. Portia's like, hold on, y'all. The prophet's, she's reading my energy. And she was like, am I headed for a divorce? Child. Am I headed for a divorce? And the prophet says, yes. Well, you don't need a prophet to see that, honey. All you need to do is look at Instagram and read those posts from Simon. Now, the prophet says that when all is said and done, and this whole divorce thing is wrapped up with Portia and Simon, that eventually they'll be able to come back together and be friends. I hope that does happen. I hope there's some healing that happens between these two. But right now, that's questionable. The next lady to arrive is Drew. Y'all, Drew looks cute here in her balmain. She does look cute. And her energy is off. Like, her energy seems very low here. So I don't know what's been happening behind the scenes, but I'm sure this whole thing with Wreck-It Ralph has just drained her, because she looks like she's just drained. The prophet says, Drew, I'm going to do your reading in private, because Drew has already expressed prior to arriving that she wanted her reading in private. She didn't want certain things disclosed in front of the other ladies. So in Portia's confessional, she says, so now Drew wants the truth told in private, but she wants to tell the lies in public. Portia, P. Willie with the shade. So now Kelly asked Angela, how have you been since Nashville? And Angela says, I'm in need of a good vibe. Brit says, will you receive what you give? And Angela said, well, let's talk about it. And so then Brit says, well, do you think the prophet was spot on? And Angela says, what are you getting out here? Is this something that you want to say? And then Brit says, can you read the words coming out of my mouth? Angela says, that big ass mouth, I should be able to read the words coming out of it. So then Brit says, it sounds like you need to be using your mouth a little bit more. Angela says, ooh, not as much as yours, but the stretch marks around it. Angela's not here for the games this episode. She ain't here with the games with none of these ladies. You can tell she's still feeling some type of way from Nashville. So then Brit stands up and she says, show me. And Angela said, ooh, you're a whore. Oh my gosh. It's the spirit of Kenya, y'all. Drew excuses herself from that area. She walks off and she says, I can't be around that. I got to protect my peace. So Brit and Angela are continuing to go back and forth. So Brit says, your husband hasn't even acknowledged you for the last 10 years. And Angela says, baby, the world knows. And Brit says, does the world know about that side baby? Angela says, you better bring some receipts. What baby? What side baby? Bring the receipts. So in Shamia's confessional, she says that if somebody told her her husband had a side baby, she would be hurt. But she's been trying to have a baby for a minute. So she would be like, can we get the baby? So in an effort to de-escalate the situation, Cynthia starts banging on something to get the ladies' attention. And she's like, listen, emotions are high, but we're going to switch this up. So then they play a game, and it's a fun little cute game about Juneteenth. So after the game is done, Cynthia pulls Portia and Angela aside. She was like, can y'all come sit over here in this room for a minute with me? Whew. So now, y'all, the talk is getting ready to happen between Portia and Angela. So Cynthia escorts Angela and Portia aside in this private room. She says, I've spoken with you both. I'm going to leave you guys here to talk. Angela says, Portia, I invited Drew, and I believe that you understood my intentions when I did that. And Portia says, you did. You invited her. I told you how I felt. We blew right on past that. So then Angela says, well, what went down at this pool at 3 a.m. in the morning? Portia says, what you walked up on was us discussing you, basically. And she was like, why is Angela always bringing Charles up to me? Angela says, well, I could have swore I heard you say you would go ahead and F Charles. And that's what I heard. And Portia says, no. And Angela says, why are y'all sitting down there talking behind my back? And Portia says, it wasn't behind your back. You should have been asleep. Now, Portia, P. Willie, come on, girl. Like, it was behind her back. In Portia's confessional, she says that it was a stupid comment, that she shouldn't have made it. And then she says, well, maybe I should have. She was like, I didn't know Dumbo was up there listening with her big old ears. She was like, but since she heard, I apologize, Angela, that you heard me having fun with my friends at 5 a.m. in the morning. Portia, what kind of an apology is this? This is real petty, real immature, and real petty. So while Portia and Angela are talking, when they're done, I'm going to bring you in the room so you can talk to Angela next. Because Angela sent that text to Shamia, and you know what? They had made up. So now to kind of see them regress over what happened in Nashville, it's a little sad. I had hoped that these two ladies would be able to kind of build a bond and a friendship outside of whatever else is going on with Portia and Drew. But Nashville kind of set them back a little bit. So Cynthia goes in to check on Angela and Portia, and she says, do y'all feel like y'all can get off on a clean slate now? You know, and Portia says, Angela hasn't apologized to me. And so then Cynthia says, well, you said the thing about the husband. And Portia says, well, she said something about my husband. So now Angela says, listen, if what I said about your husband offended you, I apologize. So then Cynthia says, now Portia, it's your turn. And Portia says, ditto. And then she says, if I offended you by what I said, I apologize. That was not my intention. So now it seems like the conversation ended here with these two, but there was no real resolution. So Portia and Angela hug it out, and then they leave out the room. But then Cynthia says, Angela, I need you to sit back down. And she brings Shamia in to talk to her. Meanwhile, Kelly and Brit are outside on the balcony, kind of chatting it up. And Kelly was like, what was that all about? And Brit says, you know, she's deflecting over what was said and what's going on in her marriage, talking about Angela. So Shamia comes in the room with Angela. She sits down and she's like, I just kind of wanted to get some clarity over that text message that you sent me. I really don't understand what part I played in making you feel uncomfortable. She's trying to get some understanding. Angela says that when Portia made the comment about effing my husband, I expected you, Shamia, as a married woman to step up and check Portia. And so then Shamia says, listen, you and Portia were at each other's throats that night. And yes, Portia was talking stuff, but it's not my fight. I was not trying to get involved in it. And I don't blame her. Like, listen here. If it were maybe Portia, being that Shamia and Portia have the closer relationship, if somebody was out there talking stuff about Portia, then yeah, I would expect Shamia to speak up and say something then. Or at the very least say, friend is not here, so we're not going to sit up and be talking stuff without my friend being here to defend herself. Right? Something like that. But the fact that Angela and Shamia, they're not friends. They're not tight like that. Like they're still getting to know one another. You can't really expect Shamia to jump in and have your back like that. You know, the best thing that Shamia could have done is remain neutral. And to me, it seems like that's what she did. So Shamia tries to bring it on back to the point, like, listen, I'm not here to talk about what Portia said. I'm here to talk about my part in it. And so Angela was like, well, you were sitting down there kikiing with everybody when they were talking about effing my husband. And Shamia's like, I kiki with everybody. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. So at that point, Angela's like, look, we don't need to keep on talking and going back and forth because we're not getting anywhere. So Shamia's like, cool. If that's how you feel, then cool. I'll respect it. I wanted to try to come and air things out with you, but it's all good. Angela's confessional, she says that Shamia says some things that she didn't agree with, and that Shamia just has to respect the fact that she ain't trying to be bothered with the BS. Shamia says she does not know why Angela is holding her feet so close to the fire, and she just wants to move on. So Shamia, in her confessional, she says, I am sorry. So after this conversation, Shamia gets up and she's like, well, thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of the Juneteenth celebration. Food is being served. The drinks are being drank. Kelly and Brit are outside doing handler shots again. And y'all, that's the end of the episode. There wasn't really too much going on here in this episode. I did see some of the stuff that's going to be happening later on in the season with Phaedra coming back on the show and being a part of the cast again, and some more conflict that will be happening between some of the other ladies. Looks like we're going to be seeing how the friendship between Brit and Kelly breaks down. But y'all, for this particular episode, that was it. So comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Let me know how you felt about the apologies that were given and that were received or not received. Let me know what y'all thought about this prophet that came in and read these ladies, and what you just thought about the Bailey Q and Miss Cynthia Bailey. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. As always, y'all, stay safe, stay blessed, and don't forget to tell someone that you love them today, even if it's just yourself. Love y'all. Peace.